to Southern Life. On today's video, we're going to be looking at the top 10 baddest females that have been arrested in the Hillsborough County Jail. The Tampa area is home to some of the craziest women you are ever going to meet. These women are violent, dangerous, and scary. And on today's video, we're going to give you 10 specimens of some of the wildest females that you are ever going to see. And while doing my research, one thing was striking to me. It seems like the vast majority of the craziest women all come from one particular part of Tampa. We'll have to look into that. There's a place on Falkenberg where you can find some fine ladies and all they need is to get bailed out. So on today's video, we're going to look at some of the top 10 baddest charges that we have seen come out of Tampa recently, all female arrests. So if you're on the market right now for a nice young lady on the streets of Tampa, believe me, there are some fine women out there. So the first woman we're going to look at today is actually being disqualified because she's not bad. She's pure evil. Meet Jeanette Unkua, allegedly from the Philippines. She has image charges and she has 2 premeditated first-degree murder charges. She sat there and she thought about this. Now, I don't know what type of evil women this is right here, but she's disqualified from our list. We're not talking about evil women. We're talking about bad women. The type of girl like, man, I got a bad little mama. We don't want to end up on the morning news, so this one's disqualified. This is just too much right here. Number 1, meet Shamika P. Now, Shamika is being charged with unlawful urination or defecation on the streets of Tampa. She's also charged with criminal mischief. I think she's the baddest girl you can get right now on the streets of Tampa, and I actually have ran into her. Now, Shamika is a prolific urinator. She's actually been in one of our videos urinating on the streets of Tampa, and this is actually a fairly common charge. As we know, the city of Tampa has this thing where if you're homeless, they don't let you enter a building, and she's apparently homeless. So she's probably been trespassed from every building in the city limits of Tampa, and that leaves her with no other option but to defecate on the streets of Tampa. You wouldn't believe how common this charge is in Tampa. I don't think there's any other city in Florida that is so fixed on stopping women from urinating and defecating in public places, but this seems to be a real problem with the females on the streets of Tampa. They feel they can go anywhere, anyhow, and if they get caught by TPD, they have no TP. So if you're looking for a fine young girl on the streets of Tampa, I have to give her the number 1 spot on today's video. She really is the bad gal, a real bad gal. You ain't gonna find a girl this bad on the streets of Tampa. If you're on the market for a woman, check her out. She might still need some bail. And keep in mind, y'all, that these young ladies are innocent until proven guilty. We're just going by the arrest book and reports from Tampa. They may get a good lawyer and get out of these charges. But for now, she is definitely on our list, number 1. Number 2, meet Amanda Rose. This 36-year-old white female, don't let these green eyes fool you. Take a look at this specimen. She's got red hair. This girl right here is a real bad gal. A real bad gal. Now, Amanda Rose had a plethora of substances, paraphernalias, and all types of illicit contraband. She has a little problem and she needs to get that under control. But if you're looking for a bad gal on the streets of Tampa, it don't get no more badder than this. So if you're on the market in Tampa and you want a real bad girl, meet Amanda Rose. Now, this girl, you got to keep your eyes on her. This is not for everybody. Not everybody can handle a girl like this. This is a special package. You got to have a strong hand to get a woman like this. But if you don't mind a plethora of little situations there of contraband, then Amanda Rose may be the girl for you. But the good thing is you can see in those innocent green eyes that she is repentant and remorseful for her actions. Not really. Now, let me tell you something. These photos of, her Hillsborough County where they stamp the logo on people's faces. I don't know if you guys know this, but it's actually a trend for people in Tampa to have their Facebook or Instagram profile photos be this. So a lot of people in Tampa actually get arrested on purpose so that they can have their profile photo with the Hillsborough County logo over their face. Now, they did that as a disrespect to people on the streets, but now people on the streets are actually using it kind of as a mark of, oh man, I've been arrested in Tampa. So if you have very little attainment in life, then you could go for something like that. But sadly, since Hillsborough County has this practice of stamping their logo over the mugshot, people have actually started using these mugshots as some type of street credibility thing where their profile photo has to be their mugshot. What a horrendous thing to attain to on the streets of Tampa, but that is sadly the mentality that a lot of people have. And let me tell you that we're not making fun of these individuals. I know that we're, having fun with this video. Getting arrested is possibly one of the lowest moments in somebody's life. But today's video, I started looking through the arrest records of Tampa, and I was like, wow, there's some bad women in Tampa, and I'm sure that there's somebody out there looking just for that. So in today's video, I know that this is definitely one of the lowest points that somebody could be in their life being arrested. And I'm not making fun of the fact they're getting arrested in general. In fact, I hope these women get their lives straightened out. But we got to admit that when it comes to bad girls in Tampa, I had to make this list. Now, I was originally making a list of the top 10 recent arrests of women that were out there selling their bodies, but I can only find a handful. Then I started realizing, forget that story. These women are bad. And let me tell you, when it comes to women in Tampa, some of these women in Tampa are actually more violent than the men. And when I look at the arrests of females in Tampa, they actually have more violent female arrests. Like in general, if you look at the women getting arrested, the charges that they have are horrendous. I've seen women getting arrested for taking their mama's disabilities, for not taking care of their kids. I mean, there are some really bad women in Tampa. So let me just revert a little bit back to, if you're on the dating market in Tampa, you might find a good girl. Just kidding. If you're on the dating market in Tampa, you need to find somewhere else to find a woman, because these women are wild. And again, it seems like on the streets of Tampa, these mugshots are like a food stamp card. If you have this mugshot with the sheriff's logo stamped over your face, it's like street credibility on the streets of Tampa. That's why we chose the city of Tampa for this video. So don't think I'm just picking on people. I know it's kind of a horrible video topic, but at the end of the day, like I said, for a lot of people, this is kind of like a stamp. So here's your video. And somehow I got a feeling that there's going to be a woman watching this video from a Tampa County jail with a smuggled cell phone like, I should have been on this list. This guy don't know what he's talking about. Number 3, meet Branisha Shakinia Takia. She's got 3 black names, not one. She's 26 years old. She's not a bad-looking female. She's number 3 on our list. But take a look at these charges. Aggravated battery on a pregnant female. Now, the Tampa Police Department in Hillsborough County actually published the address of the person. And if you look at the address, this is what comes up on Google Maps. You can see that somebody, it looks like they bit the wall and then they shot it a few times. Now, I don't think a vehicle could have done this. This looks like somebody was actually shooing on this concrete wall. So whatever's happening in this neighborhood, it ain't pretty. But let's go back to this mugshot for a second, because these charges are pretty interesting. Now, whatever her black name is, she actually doesn't look that bad. Now, respectfully, she's not a bad looking young lady. She's 26 years old. But why would she go after a pregnant woman? It just doesn't make sense. Now, I have a theory that there is some crazy hood rattery in the background of this story. Perhaps there was maybe a black boy in the belly of a white woman, and she was like, that brother is mine. I got to fight for him. I don't really understand. Maybe this guy had a really good job. Maybe he makes over $100K a year, has a clean criminal record, a nice apartment in the suburbs. I don't know what these women were fighting over, but I believe the fact that the other woman was pregnant might have been part of the reason she was being in this altercation. Maybe she's just randomly attacked the pregnant women for who knows what the crap. Now, it's aggravated, so it's pretty serious. This young lady right here, I suspect, was upset that this other girl was pregnant, because this is a high-value black man. I'm talking about high income, good job. The brother's got everything in order, and she couldn't let, another woman mess that up for her. I mean, she had this guy in the bag. This guy's got a nice truck, good credit score, nice apartment, good job, high income, no criminal record. This is a prized brother, and she was upset. Either that, or, there's also the possibility that perhaps it was a white woman pregnant with a black baby, and she just couldn't let a brother like that leave the gene pool. I don't really know why this guy was worth fighting over. But that's a pretty serious charge right there. Aggravated battery on a pregnant person. This is a serious charge, and I don't know why she was jealous or upset at this pregnant woman, because she doesn't look like she needs to envy any other woman for nothing. But regardless, she made some serious mistakes, and if you're looking for a bad girl in Tampa, this is the one you want right here. If you get another girl knocked up, she's going to defend her man. I think that's somewhat of an attribute right there, if my theory on what happened here is correct. But anyways, number 3 on our list right there, my man. Now, if you're looking for a mature woman, number 4 is Pope Dreamer. She is 200 some pounds, and she's being charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. Now, if you look at how heavy she is, I think just bringing herself was deadly enough. At around 260 pounds, this woman was already a deadly weapon but with her own presence. But she aggravated it by bringing something else. And I'm really hoping that, a woman this size, I mean, how big was the other girl that she needed to bring a weapon into the picture? I feel like she could have just handled this by herself. But a lot of guys like a violent girl. So if you're in your 50s and you're looking for a violent woman on the streets of Tampa, number 4, Pope Dreamer, brought a deadly weapon. Personally, I think just bringing herself is deadly enough at that weight class. But hey, if you want an ultra-aggressive woman to defend you from all these crazy people on the streets of Tampa, this one right here is a keeper. Number 5 is Miss Newsom. Now, how old do you think this young lady is? Would you say she's in her 30s, maybe early 40s? Sadly, this young lady is in her 20s. Yes, and just like the name Newsom would suggest, she's on some serious California type crap. And I gotta admit, this is literally one of the saddest stories of today's video because of her age and the charges that she's facing. Let's take a look at this. Apparently, she lives in Sefner. She's at large. That would suggest she's probably homeless. She's being charged with paraphernalia, substances, Florida's littering law, and of course, trespassing. Now, these are homeless charges. Can you imagine this girl at 20 years old? She looks like she's already in her 30s or 40s, living on the streets of Sefner, aka Methner. This girl is literally homeless on the streets, I'm going to suggest, by the charges and the fact that she doesn't have an address. Now, Sefner's right outside of Valrico, and like I said, for some reason, this area, East 75, produces some of the craziest women in Tampa, and her story really is sad. Paraphernalia, substances, littering, trespassing, these are all homeless charges. This girl was probably out there living savagely on the streets of Tampa, and I think it's pretty sad that a young woman like this is out there living like that. And well, out of looking through all these arrest reports, I can tell you this girl needs help. But she did make our list on today's video. I think people need to be aware that there are young people out there that are ending up in these situations. And hopefully she can get her act together, because if at 20 years old, she's caught up living like she's a homeless woman from Ohio in her 50s, smoking tents, I don't even know what to say. But for her age, she needs to be living way better than that. And it is sad that young people are ending up in these types of situations. So if you're looking for a fixer-upper young lady, take this one home and make sure you lock up the medicine cabinet. I think at her age, I know when a person becomes 18 years old, they're an adult already, but I think the parents need to think really heavily on the type of person they've produced. Maybe she doesn't have parents. Maybe she's orphaned. Maybe she's been through the foster care system and the people that adopted her were horrible to her. I don't really know what the background details are, but I can definitely tell you there's a sad story to be told here. When I say I hope she finds somebody that takes care of her and cherishes her, I really do mean it. That was number 5. Pretty sad, but this is the reality of the way some people are living on the streets of Tampa. What makes her story so sad is her age. At 20 years old, she should really be doing something great with herself, preparing herself for her future, but getting arrested on some homeless type charges, that's pretty sad. Number 6, meet Molly. Now, Molly is a bad girl. She's 40 years old, and she was arrested for a type of activity that happens outside of motels, and she has her address listed as a motel from what I believe. So that would just give you an idea that this young lady living out of a motel at 40 years old, looks like she's in her 50s or 60s. I don't know how guys are paying for this, but apparently she was out there trying to get paid for that. Now, any pimp will tell you that the last thing you want to do is try to cuff a girl that belongs to the streets. But I think at 40 years old, it is time to retire Molly and find her an old man who's okay with the fact that she has more miles on the odometer than we could imagine. And what a sad life to live at 40 years old, being pushed out of little motels like that in places like Tampa. That's really not a life, Molly. And I hope if you're watching this video, you think about doing something different with yourself, because that is definitely no way to live. I'm sure she's dated some of the people in the comment section today. Number 7, meet Candy. Now, Candy is 36 years old, female, and she's facing a few charges for, again, subsequently being on the streets, and of course, a plethora of possession charges. Another case of a woman living directly out of a motel, hotel right by the interstate. I actually did a video right outside of this hotel. And it's a type of place that is scary. And of course, the women that are hanging out there are waiting for the guys in the semi-truck. So Candy, at 36 years old, has already been arrested subsequently for the same charge. This is her profession. Maybe one day she'll meet the right trucker and get taken off the streets. But for now, this girl is an absolute mess. And one of those charges is trafficking of the F. And that goes for a while. So this time, they didn't just catch her with herself. They caught her with possession charges and enough volume to be considered trafficking. So she's probably going to be away for a while, and hopefully she comes out as a new woman, finds a husband, marries him, and never again finds herself outside of that motel off of Flawler. Married women in Tampa, if your husband has been missing late at night in the northeast Tampa area around Temple Terrace and off Flawler and Bush and all that, ask him if he's ever met Candy. Show him. If your husband gets home tonight, say, who is this young lady? Who is Candy? Women watching today's video, if you just have the minimal suspicion that your husband's out there doing something bad, show him a picture of Candy. Be like, who is this young 36-year-old woman, Candy, and why is she pregnant? Okay, just scare him like that. Well, you know what? Is this where our marriage is at, Larry? Is this where our marriage is at, Larry? Who's Candy? You know what's crazy is guys actually pay for this. She looks like she would have to pay me, and I'd still turn it down. Number 8, meet Miss Lynn. Now, Miss Lynn had 20 grams, paraphernalia, tampering of evidence, armed trafficking in the methamphetamine, resisting an officer without violence. She resisted, and trafficking between 14 and 20 grams. She had an onslaught of different illegal things on her, and she was belligerent to law enforcement, and she was doing it while being armed. All that crazy, because if you look at her address, it's a suburban address. A Brandon address right outside of Valrico. Again, let me tell you, Valrico is the breeding ground of crazy women, but it seems like she might even have a husband. If you look up the address, it's a nice suburban home. It seems like she was living the perfect suburban life. But armed trafficking, possession of stuff that you're not supposed to have, and then she got out of hand with the law enforcement officers. Her suburban life took her to the streets. And it's crazy to think that a woman living in the suburbs could lead just a crazy crime-filled life. And I have to say, whether she has a husband, a home, and a nice suburban life, which it looks like that's what she was living, Ms. Lynn was made for the streets, man. That's some crazy charges right there. I don't think she's ready for the taking. I'm pretty sure she's got a husband at home scratching his head saying, what the crap did I marry? I mean, you give a woman a good suburban life on the outskirts of Tampa with a nice house with a big oak tree out front and a white picket fence, and you think everything's perfect. Now, Miss Lynn isn't your typical notion of what a meth dealer would be. She is definitely not what you would expect, a suburban woman. But don't get no misunderstandings here. Miss Lynn is for the streets and for the streets only. And despite achieving somewhat a nice level of suburban lifestyle, she shows the streets, and she is one of the baddest girls that you can find on the streets of Tampa. At a glance, you might just see a nice suburban woman next door. Maybe just, Miss Lynn next door. But Miss Lynn next door is really with the craps. Armed meth trafficking. Wow. Perhaps you think that the baddest girls in Tampa would come from a trailer park off Nebraska. But it turns out that it isn't just the trailer parks. It's also the suburban areas where you can find some of the baddest females in the 813. The Valrico turtle green suit, Miss Margarita Rojas, 54 years old from New York. Again, Valrico strikes one more time. Now, this female here was arrested for exposing her green turtle suit. That's right. She wanted everybody to see the goodies. And I'd pay to not have to see this Tampa woman right here. What is it with Tampa women thinking they're hotshots when they're really not? Well, she's from New York, and like many undesirable things that end up in Tampa, it originated in New York. 54 years old, the Valrico green turtle was out there in the suburbs of Tampa doing who knows what the crap, exposing the turtle's lair. She's number 9 on our list, and I'm going to assume by the fact she was exposing the goodies that she's on a hunt for a good man. A good man looking for a quick turtle suit. I think when they put somebody in that green turtle suit, it's because they think they're a danger to themselves. So I have no idea what she did to these police officers that arrested her, that they decided that they needed to put her in the turtle suit. But anyways, that's one bad gal right there. And once again, Valrico. And it's crazy because when you look at the arrest from Tampa, it's a big area. You got Wilmama, Riverview, Tampa. Hillsborough County is a big place. But it seems like Valrico is the home to some of the craziest women on the face of the earth. And now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever met a girl from Valrico that didn't seem crazy. It's almost like Mosaic's been dumping all their radioactive waste into the Valrico water treatment plant instead of sending it to Piney Point. But whatever the situation is with the water quality here, it creates some of the wildest women on the face of the earth. And let me just tell you, if you're dating in Tampa, you make sure that girl's not from Valrico, because it doesn't matter if you put her in a nice suburban living. That girl's got some other plans. There's definitely something wrong with the women from Valrico, because of all the people arrested in Tampa, I kid you not, the craziest ones are always from here. Number 10, our final bad girl from Tampa. Where do you guys think this girl's from? Valrico, once again. Now, again, it has a branded address, but it's right on the outskirts of Valrico. Now, this is another case of a female in the suburbs gone wrong. 2 child neglect charges, a DUI. So it seems like she had 2 kids with her while consuming and driving. Once again, I don't know what exactly is happening in Valrico, but it seems to breed some of the craziest women in the Tampa area. If you look at this woman's face, you can see a hardened criminal, not even concerned about the safety of her kids. Nothing's going to get in the way between this woman and a bottle of margarita. And it seems that she included her kids in her drinking situation. Well, actually, if you look at this charge carefully, it might just be one. It says abuse, one charge, and neglect, the other. So I guess from a legal perspective, abuse and neglect are 2 different things. So maybe it is 1 kid. But regardless, gravity only pulls in one direction, and that is downhill. And that's where this woman's situation is going. With abuse, neglect, and DUI, she seems more concerned with the bottle than she does with the family. And let that be a warning to anybody thinking that they're going to find a nice girl on the outskirts of town. Some of these suburban women are crazier than the girls in the inner city. So don't let those beautiful big oak trees on the outskirts of Tampa fool you. There's some wild women out there. From a young girl, only 20 years old, living in a savage situation, homeless in the streets of Valrico, to suburban women with pools and beautiful homes. What these Valrico women have in common is the same factor. They're freaking nuts. And in fact, it seems like if we were going to make a map of where you could find the craziest women in Tampa, it seems like 80% of the crazy women are in 2 areas. Around Temple Terrace, right off of Bush, and of course Valrico and Brandon. So it seems like despite Hillsborough County being a huge county, the overwhelming majority of all of these crazy women are found within a very small perimeter. So if you're in a dating scene in Tampa and you're looking for a girl, I would avoid these 2 areas, because it seems like these 2 areas produce some of the craziest women in Tampa. On the other hand, if you're looking for a nice, decent girl, try Town and Country or, of course, South Tampa.